now let's talk about how to prepare your binding. So when you're preparing your binding, let's talk about 2.5-inch strips. Well, obviously you need one long continuous strip to get around the entire quilt, right? So Sandra, why don't you go ahead and show us how to do that?
I've got a couple of strips here. The first one, we're gonna just kind of put that out flat. And then we're gonna take the other strip that we wanna put together and we're gonna put it right on top of it at an angle. Or
90-degree angle.
90-degree.
Perpendicular.
Yes. So I myself like to leave ever so slightly a little bit of a end of the one strip here so that I can see where my points are.
I'm with you on that. Now, Sandra, tell us why you do that, because I think there's a really important reason for this.
Yeah, there is, because if you put it up close, so move it over there, Chris, so it's end to end. Sometimes you have a really hard time seeing where the end of this other end is, either there or there.
Exactly.
So say I'm coming from here and I'm going to sew down to there, and if that's covered it, I can't really tell where I'm at.
Exactly.
So if I bring it out ever so slightly, then I can see where the ends are where I need to stitch.
Now here's another tip for you. Always audition your fabric before you stitch it. So if Sandra's thinking, I'm gonna stitch right here, then we're gonna pretend there's a seam line there. Does it fold open so that it creates one long continuous strip? Yes. But if you were confused and you thought, oh, I'm gonna go from this corner to this corner, let's audition, let's pretend that, we're going to stitch on that line. Look what happens.
It's not going to work.
No, it's kind of a little crazy. So always audition if you're never quite sure. All right.
And a lot of times I will take it and pan it.
Yes, you could do that.
And or you can take your little magic ruler and you can draw a line.
Okay. And that can be very helpful if you're trying to follow a line here.
Follow a line of any kind.
Let's go ahead and do that.
So then we're going to take this to the machine.
Okay. So you can see that she's sewn from the outside edge to outside edge and then right here. So at this point, you'll also trim off about 1/4 inch from that seam line and then just fold it over and press it.
So when we start this, I usually give myself, 3, 4, 5 inches.
Sure.
Okay, before I start my binding. So I'm gonna lay it on my quilt backing, my quilt, and this is just a quilt sandwich that we're gonna use, and I am going to just start stitching that down, okay? So
right now, Sandra's gonna show us how she miters the corner.
So as I come down, what I do is I go far enough to where I'm about 1/4 inch from the corner.
Okay.
Okay. And a lot of times your presser foot will have that 1/4 inch mark on it. So just as I get to that mark on my presser foot, I'm going to stop, needle down.
Okay.
Okay. Then I'm going to pivot this, and then I'm going to sew off to the corner.
Yeah, at a 45-degree angle.
At a 45-degree angle.
Now, you can do that or you don't have to. If you didn't want to, you could just I would do a reinforcement stitch right there.
Yep, just a reinforcement right there.
So what Sandra was doing, she was sewing in this direction all the way down, and she stopped at 1/4 inch from the corner. Now, if your presser foot doesn't have that little marking, what I will do is as I get closer, I just have a little ruler out, and I'll just make that little marking with a pin. Okay, so I know exactly where to stop.
Right.
Okay, now we need to get down to this side. So we're going to turn this around and go ahead, Sandra. Tell us from here.
So at this point, I'm going to turn it and then I'm going to take my binding and I'm going to flip it up this way. And I'm going to make sure that I have that 45-degree angle from my corner here to the corner here of my binding. So I'm going to take that and just kind of push it, press or finger press it, whatever. And then I'm going to bring it down. And I'm going to make sure that my ends right here match with the edge of my quilt. So I'm going to bring that down, and then I'm going to start right here, and again, 1/4 inch all the way down. So I am going to just take this down And once again, as I get to the end there, I'm going to take this, pivot, and sew off.
Okay, that's how easy it is to miter the corner.